Greetings, everybody. Welcome back in. Glad to have you guys here. And today, we are discussing tensor processor, a subject that I've talked about in the past and continue to talk about today because I'm trying to break down this this popular circulation of an idea that while seems that it's making a great point, at the same time too, it's kind of messing with perceptions. So we'll be discussing that. We'll also be talking about Mobile X and some plan shakeups that they're doing. That's pretty cool. We're gonna kind of deep dive into them so people can understand how these things work. So all that in today's live stream. Glad to be back and to be here with you guys. So if y'all want to do me just, super solid and hit the like button, I would truly appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel and you just subscribed, thank you for doing that. And turning on bell notifications is the best way you guys won't miss a video of mine, or in fact, when I do go live, such as today. So, and yeah, man, oh man, have we had some weather today. Yesterday, today, the day before yesterday, it's been raining. There's a cold front coming through, and that's great. It feels nice outside. That holiday is just here. Thanksgiving is next week. So when you are in here, feel free to tell me what plans you guys have for Thanksgiving. I would love to know that. If you're traveling to go see family, if you're cooking up a feast for the beast, whatever it is, just let me know. Curious to know. And I will share with you guys at the end what I intend to do for Thanksgiving this year. So, if you're part of the replay crew, comment #replay. And I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody that comes in and watches my live streams, whether you join on the live. But I do know, and this is something like, for those who are subscribed to me, you don't ever have to explain why you guys missed a live stream. Watching the replay, that's great. Like I would never expect you guys to drop what you're doing for your day-to-day life just to watch my live stream. Of course, I would love to have you guys here so we can, have like a live engagement going on. But I do know that everybody has a life. And so I would never be that big-headed to think that you guys must be here to be, classified as supporters. You guys are supporters in my book, no matter what. So, yeah. So, yeah, we'll get into the topic discussions, and then there will be an after discussion for members only. So there will be a point where this will just completely flip over to members only live stream. And, yeah, so if you guys want to be a part of that, you guys know how to do it. Right down there. Click Become a Member today. Join up. There's 2 tiers. Obviously, either one will get you in to be able to see the live streams. So, yeah. Anyways, so I'll focus a little bit about the first subject at hand. I'm gonna timestamp when these things begin. So if like people are coming in because they want to know more about the Mobile X deal, then check the description. You'll see a timestamp that will jump you directly over to it if you're watching the replay. If you're watching it live, and then you're just pretty much stuck with me until I shift the topic. So, but anyways, so Tensor, this is just a thing that I see a lot of, right? If you guys don't know, aside from making content, aside from going live, in my downtime, I like to read, and I also like to know what people are thinking out there. So I tend to go through various different, social networks, like the groups that they have, and I read people's posts, when they're just geeking out with everybody else, right? So I know when it comes to the Tensor processor, when it comes to the Snapdragon 8 Elite, a lot of opinions that are openly shared are those that I consider to be tech enthusiasts, people who follow mobile technology closely. Not for any particular reason, right? It's not because that they work for a company. It's not because, that they're content creators. They could be just like an everyday person who likes to read about mobile technology, and so they follow it very closely. They know the ins and outs of things. You know what I mean? They're the ones who their friends literally contact for questions regarding their smartphone, their tablets, their laptops, their network connectivities, right? That's who I call tech enthusiasts. And the tech enthusiasts are the ones that are more vocal about this. Everything that's pretty much goes down when it comes to these two processor chips is always based on benchmark scores. And you guys already know how I feel about benchmark scores. I think they're crap. All they really do is just give you like a monetary number to just kind of like beam as your target. But what really are these benchmark scores really doing? And where does it go with a real world scenario? This is why on YouTube there's a lot of content that is like a day in the life, real world use type videos are so popular, because a lot of people can read the benchmark scores. They can listen to a tech enthusiast creator talk about why the 8 Elite smashes the Tensor G5 and all this other jargon that we just throw at them, benchmark scores after benchmark scores after benchmark scores, and stress test after stress test after stress test. And there's people out there who really don't care. As unpopular it may seem, you gotta remember that when we put ourselves in places like Reddit, or if we're on X and we're chatting with community people, just kind of posting, or even if you're on Threads and you're kind of just posting in the tech threads and you're just going back and forth with other tech enthusiasts, you got to remember those are tech enthusiasts. A lot of people that are just day to day, I walk into a store, I buy a phone, I use the phone, they're not in there having conversations with us because they're back to their life, right? That's the only time they absolutely care about a phone and what it can do, is when they're going to upgrade to a new phone. Once the upgrade has been done and executed, they're no longer in the conversation because they've got to go back to their day-to-day lives, going to work or taking care of the kids or whatever it is that they do. Or maybe, they have different interests that outweigh, tech. Like they could be NASCAR fans, they could be NFL fans, they could be pro wrestling fans, whatever it is. They're back to that. And the only people that's in the pot, still debating, still talking benchmark scores, still talking about stress tests and all this other stuff, are the tech enthusiasts. They're the only ones in there. And so, at the end of the day, I made another video last week, and it was pretty much hitting to that point about the pixels, right? And how pixels are no longer focused just specifically on the tech enthusiasts. Now they have a much more broader target that they're inheriting. And it's funny because if you guys follow me on Threads, which is like a micro blogging platform similar to X that is in junction with Instagram, another tech creator, his name is Shane Craig. I love his videos. Shout out to him. He did something similar. It was funny. I didn't know if people were making accusations or something, or he was just joking around, because we had a very similar video. The idea of the video was very similar, but if you watch his video and you watch my video, you'll see a very different viewpoint. But we had a very close, similar topic video where we were basically just talking about like how Pixel has literally kind of started to focus on everybody else, and we made some good points in our videos, kind of talking about that. I know he was coming from a perspective of him being a Pixel fan and how he feels that the vision of Pixels no longer correlates directly with his envisionment of what type of smartphone he wants. He kind of feels like they're straying away from that because they're going after a bigger, broader audience. And I was pointing out the fact that the writing was on the wall that this was going to happen with Pixel. Things like I mentioned in that video, disbanding the Team Pixel, which was a collective group of tech enthusiasts that were great content creators, that they put these Pixels in their hands and had them do reviews on. And things started to change, right? A couple of years before the actual disbanding of the group, they were starting to have these little weird clauses, in their embargoes, agreements that content creators on YouTube had to pretty much sign in order to get a review unit. And some of those things was like, you guys would have to say that you guys like Pixels. You guys can't, review these other things, right? Just some real stupid stuff that a lot of content creators started calling them out for. And that was the very earliest signs that, okay, they're going to start focusing elsewhere, because they can go to an Instagram influencer and be like, hey, we need you to say that these phones are amazing. And of course, the Instagram influencer is going to be like, sure, these phones are amazing. But, it's easier to get them to do it than, tech enthusiast content creators on YouTube, because we're like, hey, we do review other stuff, so we can't just commit to only Pixel. As what 1000 Heads, which was the marketing company that was head up of the Team Pixel group, they were wanting to have done. They were trying to put that little thing in the embargo. Then they took it out and they tried to say it was a mistake and everything. I remember the whole spiel on that, but you know what I mean? Yeah, so, our videos were similar in topic, but different point of views. He was coming from a personal perspective. I was coming from, a broader perspective. And so the reasoning is, like I said, when it comes to tech enthusiasts and everything, we come down on these devices. We talk about these devices and these processor chips and all that other stuff. Very, very different. Relabel a Snapdragon as Tensor and watch people hate it. It's a thing, right? I think a lot of people tend to just like see what the popular consensus is, and they kind of jump on that bandwagon. That's what I think it is. Like, you have a couple of people who genuinely want a more powerful performing processor, and then everyone just kind of like jumps on that bandwagon because that person's able to point out some points, right? They're able to like, make some plot points and whatnot. So, like when you look at things like this and you're like starting to compare like, benchmarks, specifications and stuff like that. And then you start to just kind of go down and you look at like the performance overview, right? You can see like on black and white, it looks like that, Qualcomm smashes the Tensor G5 in just about almost every way. And so what people have on their heads is they correlate this, that this has to be the norms for everything. But what exactly is all this power doing for you? Specifically, like, what is it doing for you? And I'm sure people can mention things like, I can game on my phone, but gaming is not a necessity of a smartphone. It's not something that makes or breaks a smartphone. I know that there's people who generally do wish that they want a generation where they can ditch gaming consoles and just do everything from their smartphone. And while that sounds great and that sounds cool, that's like reaching above and beyond. This is kind of the reason why, like, I feel like that there are people who support the fact of switching over from lithium ion to silicon carbon battery, is to have a higher battery capacity, because if you're gaming on your phone, you're literally going to eat that battery. That battery is going to go fast, right? And if you don't have a higher capacity battery, then obviously you're going to be charging 2 or 3 times a day. But if you have like a silicon carbon battery that can reach beyond, well, what we currently have today, right? Because we're getting close to there. Like the OnePlus 15 has like what, a 7,300 milliamp hour battery. That's pretty damn insane. And it's climbing higher. There's talks about Chinese-made smartphones that have like an 8,000 milliamp hour battery. So we're already starting to climb into like the 10,000 milliamp territory. And when people want, that type of battery capacity, because they're wanting their phone to last, they want to be able to game for an hour or two with friends online, and then be able to like, okay, I got to go to work and then get off, and their battery dropped from 100% to 80%, and so they can get on the rest of the day with 80% of battery life, all the way till they get off work. And when they get home from work, they have like 63 to 55% battery capacity left, and then that's half the battery capacity. They can either throw it on a charger and charge it back up to 100%, or they can just run it an entire second day until it's dead. In a perfect world, it seems like that's where a lot of those who are interested in gaming want. They want phones to go to that point. But because it seems like a very cool thing, and it seems like, oh yeah, this is what it should be, not everybody games on their phone. So this is kind of the reason why the advancements with battery capabilities hasn't made that big giant leap. We're still kind of hovering around 5,000 milliamps. We're still hovering around that point because majority of people don't game on their phone. Like what do you see like a 55-year-old man playing video games on his phone? Like my dad is 75, and the only gaming he does on his phone is like those they're like games that you would find way back in the old days. I call them the keychain, the keychain games. Like the little no, what do you call them? Like the slot machines. So they have the little keychain, and it's a slot machine keychain, except that you're not winning any money out of it. But you're just like you're clicking it to roll and see if you can hit 3 bars or 3 kings or whatever, right? And you're winning points on it, and you can clip it to your car keys. And yeah, he plays those types of games on his phone. So he plays like solitaire. He plays the slot machine emulated game, those types of things. He doesn't play anything major. He's not Call of Duty. You know what I mean? My dad did 20 years in the military, so he ain't trying to play games based on military. Yeah, so hey, with cooling campers, overheating isn't that big of a deal. What up, Nia Dang? What's going on? Titus, welcome in too. Glad to have you here. Yeah, I mean, well, so we're getting to that point, right? I think a video that I watched the other day that kind of inspired this video was Android Authority, right? And I believe his name is Scott, and he was kind of just talking about, where is the future going with everyone really just kind of like setting the Snapdragon 8 Elite as like the gold standard that every phone should have this, right? But the Snapdragon 8 Elite is not built specifically for AI. It's not. Can it run AI? Yes, it can. All right. We're not oblivious to that. Can it, of course it can. Is the chip specifically built dedicated for AI processing? No, it's not. It's, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but I'm just going to say it. The Snapdragon 8 Elite is the generic for all. Okay. Oh my God. Why are you calling it generic? Because it is. It could be used in a OnePlus, it could be used in a Samsung, and there's nothing dedicated about those devices for that processor chip, other than the fact is that they're using it because it is, the flagship processor chip currently available at this time from Qualcomm, and that's it. You can put it in an Oppo, you can put it in a freaking Huawei, you can put it in an Honor, you can put it in a Poco, you can put it in any phone, because it's not specifically designed for it. Tensor is specifically designed for pixels. It is specifically designed to do and execute what pixels are supposed to be doing. Anything from the image processing to the image editing via AI. You got what was it Nano Banana, where you could AI is a bit more playful with imagery. So you have those capabilities. You have it where you have Gemini Pro, and you could literally just like build things, not just ask it questions. I think that's the other thing too, is like most people's perception of Gemini is based on just like asking it questions. But I don't think a lot of people know that you can actually build some serious cool shit with Gemini, especially on PC, using Gemini Pro on PC. And I've even built some classic old school games that were on mobile phones, like the old days of Nokia and Snake, any of those types of games. Even like, like rip off versions of Flappy Birds. I've made my own with Gemini Pro, literally just telling it what I want. Build me a game. I'd like it to be similar to Flappy Birds, but change the pipes into flag posts with the Apple logo on it. And instead of a bird, change it to the Android guy. And then like I kind of repeated the Easter egg game that was in Android Lollipop, but built my own. And yeah, it was like a bouncing, Android guy. And then I would have to set the parameters that when you tap the space bar, like if you quickly tap it, how high of a bounce does the jump become? Or if you like really hit the space bar with more pressure, like how much higher does the Android bug droid bot go? Like you play around with that. You set up the background. I like the background to be like an 8-bit, Mario style type background with, yellowish foreground, sand with green hills in the background and a nice vibrant orange sunset. And it would build it. And when I would run it, I mean, I don't know if you guys were ever on my live stream. What was it? The beginning of this year, Fun with AI. And I was like building these little simple ass games. But you can build things with Gemini. You can develop things with Gemini. You can even have Gemini help you come up with the exact size and the exact information needed to feed into your 3D printing rig in order to print things. Like, this is something that, you know, I am saving up for because I want to actually 3D print my own phone cases for people. And I will start selling them in my shop instead of just like relying on a third-party company to build phone cases for me, because they only do specific ones like Samsung and iPhone. I don't want to go broader. I want to make cases for, like, you know, the Moto G Stylus 2025. And so if I have my own 3D printer, I can print it. And of course, I'm not going to guarantee impact resistance and military grade, because I'm not a case builder like that. These are just novelty things that, you know, people who subscribe to my channel and become a fan can buy in the shop to support the channel, and they get something cool out of it. Like, I could 3D print the case, you know. I'll tell my wife I wanted to get a shirt printing machine so I can print my own hoodies and t-shirts and sell them out of my house instead of using a third party. So like, Gemini can really help start a business. It can really help build things. It can build web apps. It can build apps for Android. It can build apps for iPhone. You can seriously, today, and Chris Perillo is one of the biggest examples. Today has never been a more better time to become an entrepreneur using AI to help launch your business. Like, if you want to try and get better income in your home, and you have this great idea for a business, then go see what Gemini can do. Go try out vibe coding. I mean, Gemini has a lot going on, and a tensor processor is built for this. Okay, so while a lot of people sit there and say, well, you can just get a Snapdragon, it's so much powerful. Yeah, it's powerful. Benchmark scores, powerful. All this stuff right here shows, you know, powerful. I mean, you go into every stress test that it does, powerful. Okay, but what is it really geared towards? That's the question. What is it geared towards? And Tensor's always geared towards the AI stuff. So this is why when I talk about it, people just can't seem to understand where I'm coming from. They like to like just push back and like, nah, it would be better with a Qualcomm chip in it. It would be if you were just trying to have this, you know, another smartphone flagship to duke it out with iPhone and with you know, with other devices that use Qualcomm, right? Because you look at Samsung, you look at, you know, all the other Android device manufacturers that use Qualcomm, and what are they specifically focused on? It's not AI. Samsung is making its first push towards AI, right? Galaxy AI is a thing that Samsung is really trying to push because they know where the battle is going to be fought with mobile communications in the upcoming, like the next couple of years. We're already, the door's open. We're already moving into AI. AI is taking over a lot of jobs. I've said this so many times. It's taking over a lot of jobs. White collar jobs are just completely getting slashed by AI. Soon, blue collar jobs will be. Even though people think, well, how is AI going to be able to build a building? Well, I mean, if you have a lot of rigs that are used to build buildings and stuff like that, and they're all powered and run by AI, AI can build a building. You don't need to have a crane operator that's working hazardous pay because he's in the crane, in the crane tower operating that. They can completely make that unmanned and use AI, right? I've noticed my OnePlus 12 lagging when using Gemini heavily, but my Pixel 9 Tensor G4 has been nothing but smooth. Yeah, well, because I mean the Tensor is designed for Gemini. Shane Craig actually just did testing, and he said Pixel with Tensor 5 is slower than Qualcomm on AI. Okay, I'll have to go check that out. It's not faster at anything. Gotcha. Shane Craig is a huge, I know he's a huge Pixel fan. I started following his channel after he tagged me on Threads. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what he meant by, like, you know, if like people were saying that he and I were copying each other. I don't know. I think that was more of a joke. He was just joking around or something like that. But nonetheless, real cool guy. This wouldn't be a big deal if they were not pricing the phone so expensive. The Pixel 6, 7 Pro had performance gaps, but they were charging $300 less than the competition. Not the case anymore. Yeah, I guess I can see that point of view, right? Like you would be hard pressed to say like I wouldn't spend $799 on the Pixel 10, you know, because of what it's doing. But then here's the flip side to all of this. You wouldn't spend $799 for the Pixel 10, but let me ask you an honest question. If you can get the Pixel 10 in all of its offerings, if you can get the Pixel 10 for, let's say, let's say $499, would you? And going back to that, that the AI processing power with the Tensor versus Qualcomm, that the Qualcomm is faster. Yeah, I can kind of see that. We'll just have to see how it goes in the future. I don't lock things down on just like one particular thing, right? So in the past, Tensor has been much better handling AI than Qualcomm. Okay, so we're talking Tensor G1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now faster, I guess, as Qualcomm can do it because it is a very powerful chip. I'm not denying that. But the overarching thing about everything and my thesis and what I'm conveying, okay, because I mean I got into heavy deep with AI because I'm very fascinated by AI and I'm very learning on a lot of things of it. But the one main thing between all of this, the root of all of this, is that you can have your most powerful processor currently right now, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. And you can put it up against the Tensor. Let's go to Tensor G1. Let's go with the very first processor chip. Okay, here's my point. If I tap and open Facebook to post on Facebook, I don't need a super powerful chip like the 8 Elite to run Facebook. See, to nerds, again, and then I'm not picking on you. I'm just using because I was waiting for someone to not fall into it. That sounds so bad. But just to step into the light to kind of prove my point. When it's tech enthusiasts that's going to focus on all the little nitty gritty stuff in between these devices, we can go on back and forth and we can say what they do good, what they do bad, how they ran tests between these two and this one did much better, even though this should have been better, or yada, 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 right? But the everyday person doesn't give a shit about that. They don't. They don't care. Does my Facebook open? That's all they care about. Does my Snapchat open? Can I take a picture on Snapchat? Can I send it to so-and-so? That's all they care about. Then you know what? The reality is, take a phone that has a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. Take the Pixel 10 that has the Tensor G5. Okay? Open Facebook, open X, open Threads, open Instagram, open Snapchat. That's it. Okay? And then show me where there's a gigantic marginal difference that would hinder the experience of anybody based on just opening those apps to use those apps. Scroll through them, type a post, send, snap a photo, send. Do that. That is a real world usage test. Fuck this, you know, it can do, you know, 120 hertz refresh on Call of Duty. Bullshit. Let's get that out of the test. Or it can spin a 3D, you know, hexagon. And its motions is so smooth at the frames per second. Fuck that. Get that out the way. Get all that nitty benchmarking crap out the way and just do the basic. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to see a giant difference between all of it. Because only us nerds look deep into that. And there's nothing wrong with being a nerd, by the way. I don't know why people take that as like a diss. That's a freaking compliment. If you're called a nerd, that's a compliment. In my book, right? So, but to us tech enthusiasts, to us nerds, yes, we'll look at that and we'll have these little conversations, you know, and we'll say these things like, it did better at AIing, it was faster at AIing, and all this other stuff, right? We can say that. Granted. And then, you know, we'll look into it because we're so wanting to know that we're going to look into all the things about it and formulate our thoughts off of it, right? But everyday people don't care about that. They don't. They just don't. That's the reality. They don't. And that's why I say, like, while you can point out all the holes in the Swiss cheese of a Tensor G5 and say how it's so bad and it does not exist for this reason, or, you know, Qualcomm could do it better for this and that. I'll tell you one thing. I'll take a phone with a Tensor over having it have a Qualcomm, because if you're already, and this is the other part of my thesis, if you're complaining that the Pixel 10 is overpriced for what it is, now just imagine what the pricing is going to be if they did stop making their in-house processor and went back to buying from Qualcomm. And this is why I refer people to Carl Pei to look at Nothing Technology, not to buy phones, but to look at their vlog videos on YouTube and look and see what the cost is to build a phone. When they had MKBHD give them all the specifications of what he wanted in a perfect smartphone, what it costs. Because that's, anyone can blow out their ass and say, yeah, Pixels should have Qualcomm. But do you think Google, even though they should, I mean, this would be best case scenario, Google's so wealthy that they should be able to eat the cost of the Qualcomm chip, but they're not going to. They're just going to pass that price down to you and me and everybody else that buys it. And then what happens to Pixel? They go back to being what they are. Because Pixels have always suffered criticism really bad. I'm going to be honest, okay? And you can agree with me or disagree with me. I'm cool when people disagree with me. I ain't worried about it. But Pixels have always been criticized for a lot of things. I'm gonna prove a point right now. And some people might come up here and be like, no, you're not proving anything. No, for sure, I'm proving something. OnePlus 15 is told that, you know, when they stress tested to max out its capabilities, it overheated. They did a stress test and it overheated, okay? Again, I'm gonna say this, it overheated. What was the general consensus in the tech enthusiast community? Well, no one's gonna drive their phone that hard. Literally, I kid you not, that's what people were saying. Nobody drives their phone that hard. I was like, oh, okay. Nobody drives their phone that hard. So this does not prove that the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 has an issue with overheating, because it was stress test to its max capabilities and it heated up to a temperature that I would say wouldn't be safe to hold in your hand. OnePlus 15. Why did people say that no one drives their phone that hard to overheat it like that? Well, two reasons why. One, people cannot take criticism when it comes to Qualcomm chips because Qualcomm is supposedly godlike. And two, OnePlus fans don't like their phones being criticized, like Apple fanboys don't like their phones being criticized, and Google Pixel fanboys don't like their phones being criticized, and same with Samsung, and etc., and on and on and on. The problem with the tech space is that people can't take criticism. If your brand of preference is being, attacked, you feel like you have to suit up in armor, grab your sword, and head off into battle for holy glory in domination. Cut that crap out, people. They're just phones. They're not that damn serious. I'm gonna tell you guys that. I'll be honest, blunt with you guys. It's not that damn serious. But anyways, so that was the consensus from a lot of people out there. It's like no one does that. Okay. If the Tensor G5 even overheated doing the same stress test, what's gonna happen? What's the general consensus? You know what? I'll freaking tell you, because I've been watching it for years. I don't go in there and argue with people because it doesn't make sense to go in a chat board and just get all butthurt and arguing over stuff. I just read what people say, laugh, and scroll. But anyways, the general consensus would be, this is why Pixel should go back to Qualcomm. They don't know how to build a processor. Google doesn't know what they're doing. They're trash. They can't figure this stuff out. Like, I would so totally go with Pixel if they went back to Qualcomm. It's okay. Tensor G5 hypothetically overheats, it gets shunned. Qualcomm overheats, there's an excuse. The tech enthusiast space is losing ground on YouTube. Man, I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's losing ground because everyday people are seeing right through our bullshit. I said it. They're seeing right through our bullshit. What bullshit am I talking about? The bullshit that we moved the goalpost when it comes down to our stuff. And I'm not absolving myself from this. I may be guilty of this. I don't know. When I get into my zone where I love to talk about tech, I can rant forever, really. Like, so I have to force myself to keep these things only an hour long. But yeah, we have a problem. We moved the goalpost. Tensor overheat? Bad. Tensor, bad. So cringy. Get out of here with that. Qualcomm overheats? But you guys, no one really uses it like that. So it'll be just fine. You know, we'll turn off some background apps, and you know, we'll just we'll have the display. You know what? We'll just write to these manufacturers, and oh yeah, they're gonna help us out because they're gonna nerf the display for us, and they're gonna nerf other things for us. So then that way it runs at an optimal temperature. Don't worry, they got this. You see what I mean? Like, they do that for Apple. Apple fanboys do that all the time. Like, oh yeah, we don't have a foldable technology because, you know what, we just don't need broken parts with a silly bending screen. Now look, there's rumors of a freaking iPhone Fold. The goalpost is always moved, and that's why there's a steady decline in viewership on tech enthusiasts on YouTube. Like, they'll watch our stuff because they like us. They'll watch our stuff because they want to, you know, they want to be entertained. And they're still getting some vital information from us. But they don't trust us 100%. And that's something that I don't blame everyday people. Why should you trust us? I mean, if I was to sit here and say that I'm not biased, I'd be lying to you guys. I like Google Pixels. I do. And I don't have a problem using them. And I always find myself questioning when people are just like, oh my God, it's so bad. You do nothing compared to the 8 Elite. And I'm like, what are you doing on your phone? Are you like literally trying to like what is it? You know, I got to keep it PG. I mean, I've been cussing, but I ain't trying to go that deep in the rabbit hole. But anyways, like what is it? Like, how are you using your phone? What for? You know, it's like the same argument that I make with people when they're just like, you know, my data is unlimited on Visible, so I don't know how I'm getting emails and I'm abusing the network. Well, what are you doing with it? Oh, I put the SIM in one of those little MiFi boxes and I'm running my TV, my laptop, my PC, my gaming rig, and all my other stuff on it. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you are abusing it. Because unlimited data from a mobile phone service provider, keyword there, mobile phone, means that it's unlimited data for a mobile phone. And that they give you the option to tether that connection to other IoTs, like laptop, so you can send an email. But the intentions was never for you to run all your IoTs off the hotspot and game and complain about, yeah, you know, the latency's bad. Excuse me. They're like, the latency's bad. Ping time was like 43 milliseconds, and I want it down to like 12 milliseconds because I'm trying to play this game or whatever. Like, shut up. Like, get out of here with that. You want internet to game? Then go with a home internet service provider or get fixed wireless access from either T-Mobile or from Verizon or from AT&T. I have 2 out of the 3. I have a T-Mobile home internet right there that's powering this live stream. I have an AT&T Air right there. That's what my kids use to game on their PS5 and all their other crap. The only thing I'm missing in this party is a Verizon home internet, which eventually I'm going to get when it becomes available here. I'm also waiting for T-Mobile to email me to let me know if my address is going to be serviceable for T-Mobile fiber internet, because I got a message that T-Mobile home fiber is becoming available. Check if my location has availability, and it doesn't. So I'm just gonna have to wait until they say, hey, guess what? You know, T-Mobile fiber is available in your area. Sign up now or convert now or whatever, and then I might convert to test it out. What I'm saying is that, you know, tech enthusiasts, we moved the goalpost. It goes. And then, you know, we move it to our benefit. So that's why everyday people don't trust us anymore. And new content creators that are coming out are picking up a lot of the viewership. Why? Because they're new to the table. And all these people that check YouTube to get opinions about phones, well, they're like, hey, this guy's new. Maybe he's just going to give it to me straight. You know, it's until a person actually identifies himself as like, I love Samsung phones, I prefer to use those. Or like me being like, I prefer Pixels, I prefer to use those. Once we start putting a badge on ourselves, we just pretty much shafted ourselves of like credibility to a certain extent. Like, we're sharing our knowledge and they appreciate that. But not everything that we say are they going to hang on it and trust anymore. I mean, this is why MKBHD caught a lot of crap from people a couple years ago. People were just starting to point him out for it. And they were like, yeah, he says he loves pixels when it's pixel month, and then he goes back to his iPhone. It's like, we're getting ripped, okay? We're getting diced up in like 147 different ways of cuts. We're deli meat. We're SOL. We're done. We're cooked, right? But as you guys can see, I don't quit. I still do this stuff because I love getting like the feedback and getting people's perspectives and stuff like that. So it's like, hey, it's great, you know? Gotcha. We'll go back to some of these comments here. Sorry, I kind of went on a tangible thing. But yeah, you know, we could point out all the Swiss holes in the Tensor G5. We could point out all the Swiss holes in the 8th Gen Elite. We could push all the, you know, the Swiss holes in the MediaTek. You know, MediaTek is one of those ones I think is sitting on the sidelines, just waiting for like Qualcomm fans and Tensor fans to tear each other apart so they could just swoop in and be like, yeah, you know, we could do it. Like, we can name off a million and one things, and that's going to the core essence of these smartphones and just like what us tech enthusiasts really kind of deep dive into. But everyday people don't give a shit. They really don't. All they care about is, does it load my YouTube? Does it load my Facebook? Can I send my friend a message? Can I send this funny GIF? Can I send this funny image to people? And that's it. That's all they care about. They don't give a shit if Facebook opens a millisecond slower than a phone with a Qualcomm chip. They don't care. What up? What up, Anthony? They don't care. People don't care. Oh, my Burger King app. I'm trying to get lunch after work, well, in the middle of the day at work. Does Burger King open a second faster with a Qualcomm chip? Yeah, sure. It may. It may. Does it matter to said user? Fuck no. They don't care. If it opens Burger King and they can get their coupon to get their food, to get the F out of there, they're good. Simple as that. They're good. That's the reality of it. You could disagree with me and tell me about, you know, 88,000 character comment why you disagree with me. I'll tell you right now, no one gives a shit about all these little nitty gritty AI stuff like we do. I do. I care about it because I want to see the advancements in AI and where it's going. And I know a lot of tech enthusiasts want to see the same thing, or they want to see if we're going to head into the world of Terminator. If Gemini unveils itself and says, dun dun dun, Skynet, and becomes Skynet, well then, okay, it's Skynet, and now we can look at the T800s coming after us. Who freaking knows? I don't know. But I'm just telling you like it is. So, even if it is stated that Qualcomm runs AI a little bit faster than Tensor, does that mean that they need to go back to Qualcomm? No, because I am not going to eat the price of what they would have to buy these processor chips in bulk for their phones, and then they're going to pass that charge on to me. Like, I don't want it. I don't want the Pixel 10 to be $899. I know people are going to point out it doesn't cost that much for a processor chip. Oh, but on contraire, my friends, it may not cost that much for one single chip or whatnot, but they're going to pass that charge on to people, because that's what we're buying when we buy these phones. We're buying the camera sensors. We're buying the processor chip. We're buying, you know, the memory on it. We're buying the motherboard. We're buying the speakers. We're buying the touch display. All that is wrapped up in that little gifty price of $799. And I do agree with a lot of people. $799 is pretty high for what you're getting with the Pixel 10. That's why I know people are buying it at a very cheap price. But like I said, if people want to hang on benchmark scores and statistics, well then run this one through your statistics. If the Pixel 10 is so horrible, why is it selling so good? I wonder where the goalpost is going to move for that question. Why is it selling so good? And I'll tell anybody right now, when you're like, you're just a Pixel shill. I didn't get mine for $799 and I'm over here blowing smoke up your ass. Got this for $449. $449. I got this less than my Pixel 9a that I'm using as a webcam by $50. $50 cheaper than my Pixel 9a. And technically my Pixel 9a, I didn't even get that at $499. I got that at $299. So do you see the distinction here? Was it B-Tech got the Pixel 10 Pro from Boost Mobile. So he's willing to deal with a year of the phone being locked to Boost Mobile. because he got it at what? $399. The base Pixel 10 on Boost Mobile was $299, and the Pro model was $399, and the Pro XL was $499. Yeah, that's pretty cheap. So a lot of people are buying these phones at a cheap price, and that's not even to count the people who are financing them. Okay, because I'll be honest with you guys, I'm financing my devices through Google Fi. Google Fi gave me a deal to upgrade. On the Pixel 9a, I got it for $299. My wife got her upgrade on Pixel 9a through Google Fi. That, yeah, she's being credited back the amount over 24 months. But come tax return, because we usually get a pretty decent tax return, we're gonna pay off the phones. And the reason we're gonna pay off the phones is because I don't want any agreement. My credit amount with Google Fi to financing a device is going to go all the way back up to its full capacity, and then I'll be able to finance, you know, a Pixel 10a, because my wife likes the A series. So when the 10a launches, she'll get that phone, and when the Pixel 11 comes, I may upgrade to the Pixel 11. I don't know, because I'm also trying to run. I'm trying to like stay at the Pixel 10. But like this video is gonna take so long to make because I have to wait 7 years. So the Pixel 10 will be like my daily driver device for the next 7 years, because I want to like give you guys a video 7 years later after 7 major software updates. How is the Pixel 10 doing, and how was the journey to sticking to one Pixel device? But it's so hard because some of you guys are gonna probably want me to unbox the Pixel 11. So who knows? I may just get the Pixel 11, unbox it, use it for like 2 weeks, and then return it or sell it and pay it off with Google Fi. That would be the plan. But like, all kidding aside and all joking aside, we know that the Qualcomm chip performs better than the Tensor G5 on paper. You know, people can do all the testing that they want to and show that the Qualcomm is faster at this, or, you know, doesn't have the efficiency to run this, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, regular people just don't care. They just don't. And those same regular people, they don't buy the phones at full price. They don't care to. They'll finance through T-Mobile. They'll finance through AT&T. They don't care. So what the hell are we arguing for? That's all I'm going to say. A little bit of a switch up going on. So we're kind of shifting tracks here. And yes, Peter Adderton basically posted on X that something big was coming. And yeah, so I definitely want to kind of just share that information with everybody, because it comes in the form of like that. Oh, that. I don't know which way the things are. Anyways, right there. Yeah, so looks like that they got a 1 year of a 1 gigabyte a month plan plus unlimited talk and text for $5.83. So you take $5.83 and you multiply it by 12, and that's what you're going to be paying upfront for a whole year service of a 1 gig plan. Now, this absolutely could be used as a burner phone that you keep in your glove box or whatever. I would say at least use the data. At least use the data in it every month so you're not wasting, you know. But yeah, you can even use it as like a backup service to make calls over the Verizon network, right? So like if you have like Metro by T-Mobile, and maybe like, you know, Metro by T-Mobile is going down, and you got like a backup line. So that's not bad. But then they also shifted, and they have these plans that are limited time only. So it says, it says it's a limited time only. So get 3 months of awesome unlimited, save 27% when you pay for 3 months up front. That is, so basically it's $10.88 a month. So multiply that by 3, and that's what you're paying up front for service to basically get unlimited talk and text plus 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. So you have that. Then you got pay ahead and pay less per month, right? The further ahead you pay, the more you'll save. So they have 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month options available. And it's up to you, right? But it says from as low as $11.90 a month. Okay, I'm going to go on the whim and say that that's on the 10 gigabyte unlimited talk and text plan. Which, you know, I pulled up a site that has a breakdown of it. And so here's the breakdown. Okay, now it says Black Friday deals. $5.83 a month for 12 months, 1 gigabyte of high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, spam filtering for a total of $69.96. That's 34% savings is what they tell you. Okay, that's actually not bad. Not bad. Okay. I've seen other plans that are, you know, like 1 gig. I think like Boost Mobile ran something very similar to this, where you got like a 1 gigabyte unlimited talk and text plan for a year. Forgot what the pricing was. Does anyone know the pricing? If someone remembers the pricing of Boost Mobile, drop it. Let me know. Let me know. But anyways, okay. So you have that. Then you have $10.88 a month for 3 months, unlimited 10 plan with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data and unlimited talk and text for a total of $32.64. That's for 3 months. Again, not bad. That's going to be great for like a teenager if you want to kind of like regulate how much data they're using a month, how much time they're spending on their phone. You've got to, okay? As a dad, as a father of 6, you've got to limit their usage on their phones, because if not, they're just the walking dead. I'm just saying. So something like that would be great, because it would have them basically ration out their usage. Of course, when they're at home, they're on Wi-Fi, so they're not even touching any of the 10 gigs. And then when they're out and about, they're on the 10 gigs. And it's savings here, $32.64 every 3 months. That's not bad at all. That's pretty decent. It's pretty decent in my opinion, because I mean, that's like $100 a year, just about every 3 months. So you're gonna do like about like 100 and something every year, right? Every 3 months, there's 4 quarters in a year. So yeah, 30 times 4, about 120 something a year. That's not bad. Yeah, family of 6, you know how it is. You know how it is. But anyways, so those are Black Friday deals that's coming, which tomorrow's live stream, I'm going to be focused on Black Friday deals across many different places like Amazon and Google Store and all that stuff. So be ready for tomorrow's live stream. Anyways, but then you got the pay in advance savings. Okay. So with Mobile X, new pay in advance options, both new and existing customers can save up to 20% off when paying ahead. That means unlimited service now starts at under $12 a month, offering even more ways to save. Right. So, you know, from what I've noticed, where's it at? There we go. There's a little pay scale thing. Okay. So, if you're on the unlimited 10 and you do 12 months, like I said, it was going to be $11.90 a month, right? So take $11.90, multiply it by 12, and that is your pricing, which comes out to about $142.85. So to give you the full amount you got to pay up front to have this plan service. Now, just imagine if you buy this during tax time, okay? Because a lot of people tend to go big during when they get tax returns. Where my dogs go barking again? But if you I say, you know, you get your tax return, hold on, let me check this out real quick. It seems like a dog tried to attack my neighbor. Hold on. So my dogs are barking because they heard another dog barking. So please excuse my dogs if you guys hear them barking in the background. But anyways, yeah. So let's say tax time, you know, you got a teenager and you want to limit their phone service. So you put them on the unlimited 10 plan. You pay $142.85 up front for the entire year. That's a phone service plan you don't have to worry about throughout the rest of the year. Honestly. You don't have to worry about a phone service plan for them for the rest of the year, which means that you never really have to worry if you have them on things like Life 360. They're going to have a connection. You never really have to worry about that. And that's a good thing, because then they keep, they have phone service. You don't have a bill to worry about. You just got to worry about your bill. Well, let's say like you do that for like 3 of your kids, right? Yeah. It'll be a little bit pricey at the beginning. That's why I always say tax time, because people get like those that get a tax refund, that get a big bulk of that. $500 for 3 lines for an entire year on the 10 gigabyte plan. Man, you don't have to worry about a phone bill for the rest of the year. Okay. And if they're on the unlimited 30 for 12 months, it's what? $238.85. Basically at $19.90 a month. Now, if you do 6 months, then the pricing per month is like $22.39, which comes out to $134. And yeah, if you do 3 months, it's $70.91 up front. Now, of course, like I said, the longer in advance you pay, the more you save, right? So obviously, the best value is going to come in the form of the 12-month plans, because you're getting 20% off the monthly price if you pay up front for 12 months. You get 10% off if you pay 6 months up front, and then you get 5% off if you pay 3 months up front. So that's the whole ordeal with Mobile X. This is the big thing that Peter was talking about on, God, man, my neighbors are making my dogs just go crazy. So, sometimes I want to move into a rural area where I don't have a neighbor for like 10 miles. But then like the internet service would be shitty. It'd be hard to live stream. So anyhow, yeah, these aren't too bad at all. So if I, go back to the Mobile X website, that's what all these explain. And I really wish, that you would, they would actually be more detailed on their website than having like a third-party website explain how all this stuff works. How many data do you get with those plans? So, right here, it tells you unlimited 10. So these are the tiers for the 10 gigabyte plan. If you pay in 3 months, so in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you're on the unlimited 10. So unlimited talk and text, 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. The bottom tier is unlimited 30. So 30 gigabytes of high-speed data a month. So this is 3-month price, 6 months price, and then 1 year price. So that's the plans. So it's just taking their already, through in-app purchase plans and just allowing you to pay in advance by 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Pretty much like, competing against other buy in bulk like Mint Mobile. They're competing against Mint Mobile. They're competing against, I don't even know if Freedom Pop is still around. But they're competing against those companies with these pricings. And like I said, not a bad way to kind of go. Right? So I just wish they would have explained that for everybody here, because everyone's going to go to the Mobile X website to kind of look. And, it gives you these little tiles that just tells you little things, right? But it doesn't really, I don't really see a breakdown. I mean, if I go to, so let's go to plans. It's about to get choppy for a second. Yeah, so it does this now. Unlimited 10, 1190. Yeah, this doesn't explain too much. I can see why people would get confused thinking that you would get an unlimited 10 gigs of high-speed data plan at $11.90. And you'd find out when you try to sign up for it that you got to pay in advance, a few months in advance. And this is what, the 12-month plan? Yeah, the 12-month, so 1 year in advance to get it at this price. And then that's going to like agitate people. But they did, break it up a little bit with like the build your own plan. So you get the pricing there. And then these, man, they should just start offering these through the app also. I know they're trying to help third-party authorized dealers, but I think they should also include the $50 unlimited online too, because there's some people who live in a city that there's not an authorized dealer, so they can't get access to an unlimited $50 plan, which is they're fully unlimited, right? So not 30 gigs of high-speed data and then slowed down, but full unlimited, like what we were paying before when they had bumped up the unlimited plan that was $24.88. They had bumped up to fully unlimited. Yeah. Verizon didn't like them because they were too competitive, and yeah, so they're forced back. They're forced back onto 30. Not the greatest move, but you know what? Still, people will save. As you guys can see, the only place I can get the unlimited $50 plan, I'd have to go to this place called Express Insurance Services LLC. They are authorized to sell Mobile X phone service. So I'd have to go into their shop. And then they'll probably be like, yeah, it sounds like a car insurance company. So they'll probably be like, what's your insurance rate on your cars? And I'm going to tell them like, nah, you can't beat what I have. And then it's like, just sign me up for Mobile X phone service. And then they'll probably just try to like finesse people into thinking that Mobile X is their thing because they're called Express Insurance. Just be like, yeah, if you get Mobile X phone, that $50 unlimited plan, and we'll cut you 10% off your insurance rates for your vehicles. Well, I mean, that's where I can go to get a phone service. Look at that. It bounces on the map when I hover over the address. There's another one that's down south by Tolleson, which is where I go. Electronic trading. Okay, I know what that's a cell phone shop, and that's down south. They get people trade in devices in their shop. They let you come in and trade in your device to buy a new phone from them, and then they take your trade in and they refurbish it, and then they sell it back out. So like you can get like an iPhone 14 for like $250, depending on like how well. But anyways, yep. So that is the changes that Peter was so excited to announce on X, and now they are here. So, you can get further details either going to the Mobile X website or downloading the Mobile X app and kind of going through its walkthrough setup process. But before advancing, just, look at the plan offerings. That's another way that you can tell what you're going to get, but not bad at all. Good, for contending against, the likes of like Mint Mobile and all these other ones out there. So, and then, yeah, so upcoming videos next week, I am doing a video expose on the OnePlus 9 and just, I am using it and how I feel about using the device. So that's coming up here pretty soon. Some more interesting talks about like the pixels that I have. Of course, those videos will be coming at you guys, and some thoughts about the whole Boost Mobile thing. All those coming up in future videos. For those who came in and gave some insight about the Tensor processor, I was happy to have you guys here. Glad that you're here. I don't know if you're still here or if you just left because I stopped talking about the Tensor. But I will say that, I had fun having you guys here and whatnot. Again, shout out to, Shane Craig. If some of his fans heard about me on his post and they came over here to check out what I'm about, I appreciate you guys for doing that. And yeah, content creators on YouTube, we help each other out. Timmy Life Tex, or Timmy Life Texas. I don't know how you want to be preferred if I butcher your name, but if you just subscribed, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for subscribing. Oh, your official Tim Tech? Okay, got you. I appreciate you for subscribing. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you're just joining in right now, I'm about to end it here. I got a couple things I got to take care of for the rest of the day, but catch the replay and you can listen to what I had to say. And leave a comment too, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I don't care. Just leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like many people out there, I like to read people's thoughts, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. I don't know. I always feel like I have to say, like, comments are welcome as long as they're not like personal attacks or idiotic comments, because then those just get thrown away. I like people's real genuine You're blocked on my FB? On my old one? I don't know if you know this, but on YouTube. No, I didn't block anybody on YouTube. I'll look through it because I do have moderators, and I don't know if you said something and my moderators thought was weird and they blocked you. I'll look into it. I'll look into it because I have some really cool moderators. That's a cool thing. That's like one of the things I love about the community is that like if I'm doing live streams and my moderators are in here, I don't gotta worry about it. Okay, I'll look into it, and if so, then I will unblock. But yeah, that's the thing about moderators. They go in, they go in, and I understand. You never said nothing wrong. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, because it's not something that I remember at all. I don't even, like I said, I don't even remember you being blocked at all. So I don't know. So if there was something that was said, and I'm saying that you said something wrong, I'm just like, if something was said and they took it as the wrong way and they blocked, like my apologies, I can unblock you. That's not a problem. I just didn't know that you were blocked. Gotcha. Anyways, yeah. So I am going to basically let you guys go. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe out there, and if you're, you know, if you're in the Texas area, let me know. You guys getting hit with all that thunderstorms? Because yesterday we got hit with a severe thunderstorm and a lot of hail. The Southwest Phoenix area looked like it snowed. That's how much hail came. And there's like some fresh new dents that look like someone took a Tommy gun to my SUV because all those hails pelted the hell out of my freaking thing. Well, you don't even worry about Facebook, man, because I'm not really that active on Facebook. I'm on Threads. So, yeah, if you want to follow me personally, follow on Threads. But alrighty, you guys be cool and be safe. Be safe out there, and I will talk to you on the next one. See you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's live stream is going to be about Black Friday deals. So if you want to get wind of those, I'm going to start searching today of all the Black Friday deals I can find, and then I'm going to present them to you guys in the live stream tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. But until then, as always, aloha.